What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. Dude, I have been so pumped and excited for this one, but I keep putting it on the shelf, so we're finally here. Now picture this, sun-baked deserts, old-style rental house that's been updated, with a pool that screams Party Central and a group of friends who think they've hit the jackpot. But wait, hidden cameras, a masked maniac with a toolbox from hell, and kills so inventive, I promise you'll never look at that hammer the same way again. Okay, no, not that crazy, just better. That's right, folks. It's the 2025 slasher that feels like a long-lost hidden gem, in my opinion. Killer Rental, streaming now on Screambox. Directed by the dynamic duo, hope I'm saying his name right, Ben Hosdorf and Jonathan Caden. This micro-budget beast clocks in at a tight 83 minutes, but it does pack a punch that will leave you definitely feeling something. If you're tired of the same old jump scare trend, the political lectures, or the meta quote-unquote elevated horror shit, and you just want something that's old school, straight old school, then you are in luck. Call this a love letter to Killer Rental, because man, I absolutely loved this movie. And it really feels like a love letter to the slashers of the 80s and the 90s. This horror flick has got festival buzz from Chicago to Austin, and a Rotten Tomatoes score waiting to explode if you follow the Rotten Tomatoes BS. Nominated for Best Feature Film at the Austin Horror Film Fest. Yes, it's legit, at least to me. We'll kick off with the basics. No spoilers. Then we'll geek out on like the characters who really feel like your messy squad. We'll rave about the Carpenter, that iconic killer who's just got the tools, dude. And we'll break down why this found footage slasher is literally the answer to reviving the genre like a shot of adrenaline. So grab your popcorn, maybe a beer, maybe a doobie if you're like me, because we're breaking this bitch down, dude. So let's start right at the welcome mat. Killer Rental drops us into the heart of Joshua Tree National Park, that stark, otherworldly, like desert. It's 2025, post-pandemic is in the air, and who wouldn't crave a getaway, really? Enter our crew, two couples, fresh-faced 20-somethings that are renting this isolated Airbnb knockoff. Sun, pool, stars, it sounds idyllic, right? But right from the beginning, even the untrained eye can see what is about to happen. Directed by Hosdorf and Caden, two indie horror vets who cut their teeth on shorts that they would screen them at just different scream fests and such. Shot on location in Joshua Tree for that raw, authentic grit. It's got practical effects, courtesy of Emmy winner James McKinnon. You know the guy behind Maxine and American Horror Story? He's done a lot of stuff, actually. No CGI cheese here, dude. When blood flies, it feels real enough to pass. Clocking into 83 minutes, it's lean and it's mean, dude. No fat, all girth. The style? Found footage gold, but with a modern take. Think Your Next meets The Strangers with hidden cams, catching like every awkward hookup, every like whispered secret in this house, and every scream that rips through the night. The Carpenter. Dude, picture a handyman from hell, okay? He's got a belt full of tools that makes Leatherface look like Sesame Street, in my opinion. His design's very simple, but it's so iconic, dude. The first impression for me is, I laughed, I jumped, but I cheered. I remember looking this up on Screambox and thinking, this looks super cheap and cheesy. That is perfect. I'm in. It's got humor that works with these characters who are cardboard on paper, but they sure do come to life on screen. Believable characters, check. Creepy atmosphere, dude, check. That's a double check, really. And the twist, well, they land without feeling forced. If you're burning out on like bloated blockbusters and all the other crap that the industry just turns out, then this is definitely your prescription, dude. But enough tease. We're crossing the threshold now. If you have not seen Killer Rental yet, dude, what? Shame on you, for one. It's streaming on Screambox as we speak. Dude, consider this your gentle nudge to pause and go ahead and binge. We'll keep it spoiler light, focusing on the major stuff, setup, no big reveals, just the bones of the beast. It's nightfall in Joshua Tree. The van pulls up to this modern rental, think like glass walls, infinity pool overlooking boulders that desperately could hide a bunch of bodies. Our leads, these aren't cookie cutter final girls or jock bros. They're real. They feel real. They're messy too. They're kind of the friends that would ghost you if you gave them your Netflix password. You get what I mean. Well, anyway, they pile in, they pop the bottles, and they crank the playlist. It's all selfies and skinny dipping. That post-pandemic joy it's just there, being together. But then a glitchy security cam flickers on the TV. A dusty VHS labeled previous guest tucked in a drawer. Curiosity kills. Well, they pop it in and bam, dude, grainy footage of the last group partying hard till it cuts to static. Is it a harmless prank or a warning? As the night goes on, cracks really show, dude. The friends, they just are fighting now. The secrets spill like cheap wine, old betrayals get brought up, unspoken jealousies, and, outside, the sound of metal on metal. Enter the carpenter, silent, stalking like a predator. Hidden cams capture it all, dude. The paranoia building, the group splintering, the first vanishing that turns vacation into a vanishing act. What Killer Rental nails is the escalation. I gotta say, dude, the directors, they play with the setting like pros. We're watching them watch themselves. Layers of footage just piling up till reality eventually hits. It's tense and it doesn't let up. The desert heat, like you can just feel it. The isolation that claws at your gut, dude. But by the midpoint, you're invested. You're rooting for these, even though you know they're pretty much screwed. And the Carpenter character, he's no Jason Voorhees like clone. The guy does have personality, dude. He's twisted for sure, and with a code. His kills are practical, dude, like poetry. A drill here, a saw there, choreographed with brutality. McKinnon's effects shine. It's gore that's just gooey, wounds that scream realistically, dude. It's horror with like heart that has that bleeding scare in it. It feels fresh for 2025. No preaching politics, just pure primal fun. But let's talk flesh and blood. Or in this case, flesh and fake blood. The cast of Killer Rental is a revelation, especially for an indie joint, dude. No A-listers here, but who needs them when you've got raw talent that pops off the screen like fireworks in the desert dark? You've got fresh faces, dude. I've never even heard of these people. But all of these actors involved in this really just hit a home run, dude. It's like a bang. Overall, the cast, they elevate the script. They are believable. They're believable road trippers, not just like, your archetypes. In a genre full of scream queens and disposable dudes, Killer Rental gives them character and depth that makes the deaths mean something. Now, for the nerds in the room, that would be me, if you're like me anyway. Let's pop the hood on how this gem got forged. What if that dream vacay turned deadly? That's what they thought. What started as a short script ballooned into a full feature-length film. Shot guerrilla style in Joshua Tree during a sweltering summer, dude. It was hot. No big studio safety nets, just passion, practical magic, and a prayer for no actual scorpions or rattlesnakes. The found footage angle, dude, I gotta say that is genius on a budget. Hidden cams mean multi-angle mayhem without fancy rigs. I mean, they rigged GoPros and vents, trees, and even the pull filter, capturing like that raw, unfiltered paranoia. Caden's wearing the director, producer, writer hat, and he draws from real Airbnb horror stories. Those glitchy cams, the isolation that amps every creak, dude, oh my god. Hasendorf's eye for tension shines in the edit. Quick cuts that like mimic panic, long takes that let dread just simmer. Now effects wizard James McKinnon, he's the secret sauce. This Emmy vet handcrafted every kill, silicone wounds that just ooze convincingly, props that splinter with that visceral crack, dude. The Carpenter's toolkit, it's custom built, man. A cordless drill modded for menace, a circular saw that sings death beautifully. All practical, no green screen shortcuts, dude. The budget is micro, but the heart is macro. Screenings at Chicago and Austin Horror like Fest just proved it, dude. Standing ovations for the twist, gasps for the gore. Now on Screambox, baby. It's primed for cult status. Osdorf and Caden aimed for authenticity, fun, creepiness, and a ton of scares. I'd say they nailed it. This ain't just a movie. It's a survival kit for slasher revival. Alright, but let's carve deeper. What makes Killer Rental more than a body count? Well, there's themes, of course. There's the undercurrents that make it really stick. You got post-pandemic paranoia. That's front and center. It's a metaphor for how, like, isolation does crack relationships, though. Fights, fractures, all amplified by the cameras. That's where we get to see it. Now, the Carpenter, he's a symbol of, like, the handyman, fixing society's ills with a blade. Twisted, but timely. Now, the scares, I'd argue they're masterclass. Slow burn setups, they just like kind of lure you in, and then bam, dude, it just hits. The desert itself is a character. The silence is broken by like snap of twigs, wind is masking footsteps. The kills, dude, they stand out, and the sound design is just chef kiss. It's positive horror. It empowers the underdogs. It subverts a lot of the tropes too, like Final Girl, dude, more like Final Squad. In 2025 sea of reboots, this feels original. Fun without updates, scary without preaching. I mean, it's girth level overflowing. Stack it against the greats. It's funnier than Vacancy, bloodier than The Host for sure. It echoes that Cabin in the Woods like meta vibe in a way, but it stays slasher pure. It's the perfect antidote for what we are dealing with today. It just reminds us, dude, that escapes can bite, but stories do heal. Now, the verdict, Killer Rental is a slasher triumph. I'm rating this flick as a must-see, like right now, which is essentially 4 stars in my rating system. Dude, If I went too fast for a lot of you folks, I'm sorry. I just kind of wanted to get like as much in there as I can because I do try to keep these videos short. However, if I'm really going off script here on this one, I gotta say I did very much enjoy this film, dude. We're talking very super just creative kills, dude. They're very cool. That's why I like them, and like the stalking in it's just great too, man. You feel the intensity, and like I mentioned earlier, dude, it just keeps going. There is no point in time where this movie calms down. The intensity continues to pick up, and it just gets worse and worse from there. There is no stopping, and it feels like it's hard to breathe at times for that reason, but man, this was a throwback to my childhood. If you love slasher films, specifically from the 80s and the 90s, you're going to love this. And if you grew up in the 90s like I did, I promise you're going to love this. If you're a fan of horror in general, I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. For those of you that are more sophisticated and you like the meta stuff, this may not be for you. This is a film that really doesn't have a lot of preachy themes, you know what I mean? Like I said, it has the one about isolation and all that, but like that's really more an observation. This isn't your movie if that is the case. Otherwise, if you are tired of meta and quote unquote woke horror or whatever, this is definitely it. You have to see Killer Rental on Screambox. And I mean like right now. But thank you guys for watching. I am Tony. This is Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe so you can see more of this. If you want spicy political content, head over to the Great Girth podcast. Otherwise, stay here with me and always remember to stay